Hey guys, Mr. T here. This is another video in this series for scientific report writing help. So the last video I went about showing you how to reference your dot points that you collected. The video before that I showed you how to research your content paragraphs, and the video before that even was setting up these little subheadings to remind you what you need to answer to be successful in your assignment. So we looked at the heading, we Google searched that, and we found a website that I could dot point to answer this question that's in bold here. Then I gave credit to that website by referencing it. Now you need to write. You need to use your writing skills. That's why you've been doing English for a while, okay? And the best way to go about writing in a scientific report in a good style is the TEEL style. TEEL style is a way of writing paragraphs properly. TEEL stands for T, topic sentence. It introduces the main point or argument of that particular paragraph. E stands for explanation or elaboration. It expands on the topic sentence, it explains your reasoning. The second E is evidence and examples. It supports your explanation with facts, data, quotes, or references. And L is a linking sentence that concludes the paragraph and ties the argument back to the overall point and transitions you to the next one smoothly. So what you need to go is go to each content paragraph and look at the dot points you researched. Here are my dot points about explaining the genetics involved in the chosen topic. We need to write a topic sentence for each set of dot points to introduce them, and then I need to use language skills to rewrite these, so instead of it just being sentence, 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 the sentence link into each other. And then lastly, I need to write a linking sentence at the end of the paragraph to smoothly go into the next point, which is analyzing how scientific development impacts individuals. So I've got a whole bunch of dot points here. I don't have an intro, so we don't need dot points anymore. I'm going to write an introduction. Well, it would be good to start off with giving a gist of what genetics is, and as taught in class, genetics is the study of genes and how genetic information, DNA, is passed down through generations. You've just given a nice little thing about DNA and showing your understanding of what genetics is. DNA so now I can go into my dot points. DNA itself contains genes. See, I haven't explained what a gene is yet. Short sections of DNA that code for proteins. So that covers me. Genetics is the study of genes. Good sentence. I've explained what genes are because I'm going to use that information later. And it's also the study of how genetic info is passed down from generation. We already said DNA before, I'm going to delete that. Is passed down through generation. DNA contains genes which are the instructions for making proteins. Proteins are the biological machinery machines that allow us to live. Oh, that sounds corny. That exist in all living things that keep them functioning. It's not really a topic sentence, it's more of a topic like multiple sentences to introduce it. We've done this, don't need that anymore. Genetics is the study of genes, which I sought, which are short sections of DNA that code proteins, and how genetic information is passed down through generations. DNA contains genes, which are the instructions for making proteins. Proteins are the biological machines that exist in all living things to keep them functioning. That's kind of introduced genetics, which is leading into what goes wrong, and is the idea of diseases. Sometimes, so I'm dealing with this dot point now, sometimes proteins may not work properly or not exist at all due to mutations. Covered that. The missing or faulty proteins can cause diseases. This can cause diseases. So what you can see I'm doing here is cutting those dot points out and replacing them with properly worded stuff in a structure that goes smoothly. Each sentence leads into the next one. Genetics allows for the correction of DNA so the proteins can be properly produced. Genetics and knowing about how DNA works and is constructed allows us to correct the DNA so that proteins are properly made. Why? Because I've said produced before already, I think. No, I haven't. No, say properly produced. Gene transfer or gene addition. Techniques like gene transfer or gene addition. Replace missing genes or add new ones. Dot point done. The added genes can be normal. These genes can be a normal version or a new gene that avoids the disease completely. Genome editing allows us to precisely change DNA, such as removing parts of DNA causing problems. Another technique called genome editing allows us to change the DNA itself precisely, such as removing parts causing problems, turning off genes, turning genes on or off. See, I'm changing the wording so I don't come up with plagiarism on that website. I'm rewording, I'm paraphrasing the information, which is what you're meant to do. Turning genes on or off, or just correcting mutations. And we've got the reference at the end there. No, the full stop comes after the reference. So we've got a nice content paragraph here. Explain the genetics involved your chosen topic. What did I do? I told you what genetics was in the first place. And how that involves proteins and DNA. Why? Because I need to talk about how Proteins are the end result of DNA. Why are proteins important? Because they're biological machines that keep us alive. Sometimes proteins don't work properly. I don't need that extra sentence there. Sometimes proteins may not work properly or not exist at all due to mutations, causing, I can make it smoother, causing diseases. Genetics and knowing about how DNA works and is constructed allows us to correct the DNA so that the proteins are properly produced. So we've talked about how proteins not working properly or not existing at all causes diseases. Genetics, because remember, I'm trying to explain why genetics is involved in my chosen topic, and we're using it to treat diseases, improve disease treatment. Genetics and knowing about how DNA works and is constructed, it's made of nucleotides and stuff, allows us to correct the DNA, which is the instructions for proteins. And if we correct the DNA, then the proteins are properly produced, which means that we're not going to have the diseases caused by the improper or non-existing proteins. See the logic there? Then we go into the techniques. Techniques like gene transfer or gene addition replace missing genes or add new ones. So that's an example of how the technology works. The genes can be normal or a new gene that avoids the disease completely. There's another technique here where instead of replacing whole genes, we're just messing with the DNA itself, editing it slightly to get the same result, and then I've referenced it here. So I've had a topic sentence that introduced it smoothly, around about there. I've explained and elaborated. And then explained and elaborated, and then the last bit, techniques like gene transfer or gene addition, that's the evidence here. Evidence to the end. What I'm now missing is a linking sentence. Linking sentence is not referenced because it's me linking into the next paragraph. So what is the next paragraph? Analyze how scientific development impacts individuals. Clearly, if genetics allows us to target and treat diseases effectively, it will have a significant impact on individual people. Why is that my linking sentence? Because my next content paragraph is going to be about the impact on individuals. So I'm telling the reader before they go to the next paragraph that that's likely what they're going to be able to hear about. So that is an example. This text is a bit large. You can't see the paragraph. So select all, make it a little smaller. There is a content paragraph written for you in the TEEL style. Topic, sentence, explanation, elaboration, evidence and examples, and a linking sentence going into the next topic paragraph. You need to do that over and over again until you have completed all of your topic paragraphs. Okay? So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more, which isn't too bad given that that didn't take very long. So hopefully that video helps you out, and I'll see you in the next one.